Hello.
Yeah, no, bakso chicken.
What is this?
What is it? Say chicken. Chicken.
Chicken.
Yes.
What name of this?
Oh yes.
What name? Apa namanya?
Bakso.
Bakso.
Bakso?
Ayam. Chicken.
Bakso ayam.
Thank you.
Tutaj? Wojtek tutaj?
Nie, niżej, sam.
Nie chciał.
Ale możemy też tak. Dobrze, pojedziemy.
Josie, nie ma no.
Hare Krishna. No. Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
I don't know what's wrong with it. Oh,
Is it casual?
it's just Spotify is catching the, you know.
General vibe.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Hello. Hello. Good. Hello. 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 Good. What about you? Hello.
Hello.